Hey everybody, welcome to my first YouTube video. And as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be telling about my pregnancy story and how I found out I was pregnant and everything going on through my pregnancy. I found out I was pregnant in October of 2018, and at this time I was 18 years old. So I'm gonna start from the beginning. So I was staying with my son's father, and we were together, and I was like really experiencing changes with my body, but I didn't really understand what was going on because pregnancy was the very last thing on my mind. So we all went out to eat one night, and we came back. Everybody was, talking, laughing, having a good time, carrying a good conversation, and out of nowhere, I was the only one that threw up what everybody else had eaten. So I talked to my son's father's sister, and I'm like, what's going on? And she was like, did you eat something that was wrong? I was like, no. She was like, well, you're pregnant. I was like, no, like, there's no way I could be pregnant. She was like, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Then I was like, oh my gosh, like, and then I hadn't even taken the pregnancy test, so I was like, no, like, there's no way that this could be happening right now. So some things happened, and things didn't go the way they were supposed to, and I ended up moving out. After that, I came to my dad's apartment, and I was staying with him for about like a week. And then that's when I started noticing changes in my body. I started getting nauseated, and I couldn't eat the things that I like to eat. Like, it tasted really weird, and it was disgusting. And one night I came in from work. I started working, and I was laying on my stomach, and I felt really, really weird. And I was like, what is going on? Like, this is not normal for me. And so I was like, I have to find out, because it's like I was in my head, I was like going through and thinking about all the things that everyone said to me. I was like, I have to find it. So I went to the Dollar Tree and got the cheapest one, just in case, I wasn't pregnant. I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on a pregnancy test, and it ended up coming out negative. So I went to the store and I got a test, and I followed the directions, did everything that it said to do. And normally you would have to wait like 2 to 3 minutes for results to pop up on the pregnancy test, but it's like mine, like, there was no waiting. Like, it showed like 2 lines. It was like bam, like, it just hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was so nervous. Like, I was shaking. I was overwhelmed. Like, I didn't know what to think. So I called my cousin. I was like, oh my God, like, look at this test. It came out positive. Like, I'm pregnant. Like, what am I going to do? So she was happy. Like, she was really excited. Like, she didn't know what to do. So in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to tell my dad? So I was nervous, like, the whole time I was waiting for him to come home from work. While I was waiting, I was pacing back and forth and shaking, nervous. In my head, I was like, what am I going to do? So when he gets home, like, where he stayed at, there were like balconies and stuff. I went outside on the balcony for a couple of minutes, and then I opened the door. I was like, Dad, can you come here? I have something I gotta tell you. And he was like, are you okay? I was like, just come here. I got something I gotta tell you. And we went out on the balcony, and I sat down, and he had his elbow up on the railing. He was like, what's wrong? I was like, I got something I gotta tell you, but I don't want you to be disappointed in me. I don't want you to be mad. I'm telling you this so you won't have to hear it from anyone else. He was like, what's wrong? I just sat there quietly because I didn't know how I was going to say it, and I didn't know what to say. He was like, just tell me. I'm not going to be mad. So I came out with it. I said, Dad, I'm pregnant. So the expression on my dad's face, he was like, like, oh my gosh. It was insane because at that point, I didn't know what to do. I just told my dad that I was pregnant, and I was nervous. I didn't know what to do. I kind of felt like, in a sense, he was kind of disappointed in me because I was only 18 years old. But, so, like, I had to come out with it and let him know. So while we were in the middle of talking and I was telling him about how I found out I was pregnant, my sister's on the other side of the door and she's listening. And we came back in. She looks at me when I walked through the door. She was like, do you even know what pregnant means? I was like, wow. She was really listening to our conversation. And so, at the time, our mom, she was back in North Carolina and we were in South Carolina. She was like, I want to call and I want to talk to mommy. And I was like, okay, well, let me just call her. And knowing my sister, she was already going to tell her. Like, I already knew. So I called my mom. And I gave my sister the phone. She was like, I want to go in the room. And so she went in the room. She closed the door. Like, open the door. And, like, out of nowhere, she whispers. She was like, Mommy, she's going to have a baby. She's pregnant. And, like, that was, I think, the biggest, like, I felt like I let everybody in my family down. But, I mean, there's some things that we can't change. So, after I got through telling my parents, it was time to let my son's father know everything that had just happened. So I'm texting him, I'm like, oh my God, like, I just found out I'm pregnant. Like, what am I going to do? What are we going to do? He was like, I don't know. Like, I'm not ready for a baby. I don't want to have any more kids. And I wasn't thinking about having no more babies. I don't want any more kids. I was like, wow. I can't believe he just said this to me. So, of course, that really shattered my heart. So, I'm just sitting there crying, and then my dad walks out of the room. He's like, are you okay? I was like, no. I just told his dad I'm pregnant, and he doesn't want anything to do with the baby. And my dad's like, you know what, it's going to be okay. I'm going to help you and all this stuff. And from that moment, I was okay with it because I knew I had the support from my mom and my dad. Then I had to do everything, get all my stuff together so I could go to my first appointment. At my first appointment, I went to see how far along I was in my pregnancy. And when I went and got my first ultrasound done, the ultrasound tech told me that I was 12 weeks along. And I was shocked because I was pregnant for 3 months and had no idea. So then I sent his father pictures of the ultrasound and, trying to get him to see that you shouldn't abandon your child. Like, you should want to be in your kid's life. But then I had to come to the realization that you can't make anyone do anything. Like, you can't force anybody to do something that they don't want to do. So I left it alone, and I went through the whole 9 months by myself, and I had him by myself. Now, I would say I was about 7 months pregnant, and my family, we were going through so much at the time. My mom had, I think it was either stage 3 or stage 4 breast cancer, and it's like we were back and forth in and out of the hospital. I was in school, and it was one day that really made me just lose all hope for everything. We ended up having to rush my mom to the hospital, and the doctors were saying you have to call everybody that you know and get them to come see her because we don't know how much longer she's going to be here. And then I just started crying because I didn't know what else to do. Like, my mom, she was a wonderful woman. She was a great woman. She was excited about my pregnancy. We had already talked about everything, planning my baby shower. She really wanted a boy. I wanted a boy too. And so I think I was 6 months when I found out what I was having, because every time that we would go to do an ultrasound, my son, his back would be facing the camera, so we wouldn't be able to really tell anything. So when I found out I was having a boy, I took my ultrasound pictures and I ran. I was like, "Mom, look, we're having a boy. We got our boy." And she was so excited. Like, I remember the reaction and everything. And so February of 2019, my mom passed away. And at that point, I was lost. I was stressing because I was like, what am I going to do? My mom's not going to be there when I have my baby. It was a horrible time for me. And so I called my son's father, trying to see if he would at least show up when I was giving birth to my son. And he was so concerned about his job. He didn't want to leave his job. I said, that's understandable, but you could at least take one day off to come see your child being born. He didn't show up for that. So I let it go. I was 39 weeks. No, I was 37 weeks, and I went to my appointment because I had to change OBGYNs because I just didn't like the OBGYN I was going to. So I ended up changing my OBGYN to someone else in a different county. So I go to my appointment. I was like, oh my gosh, like, is there any way that I can be induced? Because I'm almost near the 40-week mark and nothing's happening. I wasn't even dilated or anything of that sort. So the doctor was like, we can't dilate you until you're 39 weeks. I mean, we can't induce you until you're 39 weeks. Nothing can be done until you're 39 weeks. So they scheduled an appointment for me to be induced. And the day that I was scheduled to be induced, they called me the day before. And when they called me, like, I was like nervous. She said, we're calling from the labor and delivery in the hospital. You were supposed to come in this morning so we can go ahead and start getting everything together, your IV and stuff. I said, my doctor told me that I wasn't supposed to come in until tomorrow. She was like, well, we have on our church, you're supposed to come today. So, like, I was nervous. I was calling my dad. I'm like, Dad, like, you got to come home. Like, we got to go now. Like, they said I'm supposed to be there right now. He was like, oh, my God, like, I can't get off work early. See if they can still get you in tomorrow. And so I called, and the lady said she wasn't sure if there was going to be any rooms available. So I called my dad, and, like, he rushed home from work. He came in, and I had already had me and my son's bag packed the week before because I was so ready. Like, when you come to the end of pregnancy, it's like I'm ready to meet my baby. Like, I don't want to be pregnant anymore. So we were driving to the hospital, and we get there, and like, it was so much stuff we had to check in and sign papers and do this and do that, and then they had to put a monitor on my stomach, I guess, to monitor my son's heart rate. And everything was going smooth until they started my IV with Pitocin. And Pitocin is basically like artificial contractions, I would say. And so they got that started, and everything was going okay until like towards the end. I was in labor for I think like 15 hours, and at the end, like, I was pumping the Pitocin because my contractions were really, really rough. Like, it felt like somebody was taking a knife and just like stabbing you. So when the doctor came in and she said, we're not going to be able to have you push him out because every time you pump the Pitocin into his system, his heart rate goes down, which led to me having an emergency C-section. And like nobody really talks about it, but a C-section is a very dangerous thing. It can lead to so many things. Like, you could die like that. But I was glad that I had a care team that was really careful about things that they did and things that was going on. So I came out and I was fine. It's like first time mothers, when you hold your child for the first time, it's the best feeling you can ever have, like, ever. And so I was in the hospital for about a week, and then we came home, and it was rough. Like, I couldn't get up, I couldn't really move because I was still like a little numb from when I had to get the epidural. Like, it was really rough, but I still managed to do everything that needed to be done because being that I'm a single parent, I have to do what's best for my baby. And now my son is 9 months old, and my experience so far has been the best. It's been stressful, but I wouldn't change it for anything in this world. My son has showed me that I can be a strong person no matter what I'm going through, and he makes me happy. He makes me really happy. There's nothing in this world that I wouldn't do for my son at all. And the message that I have for first-time moms, single parents, single moms, you can do it. You can get through it. If there's going to be challenges that you're going to go through, there's going to be things that you're going to experience, and you're like, I can't do this. Your baby will reassure you that you can do it. You can most definitely do it. Well, that's the end of my video. If you guys liked it, like, comment, subscribe, and you can request for any more videos that you would like for me to tell. I meant stories, I'm sorry. Stories you would like for me to tell. And alright guys, see you next video.